It's sunny. At least the sun's out now.
It's really nice, yeah.
Welcome back to episode 5, part 2. For those of you that may have missed the first part, we'll put the link in below so that way you can catch up. And you might want to actually do that before you watch part 2 because it's very interesting and it flows much better if you do that. In this episode, you will find Dr. Sarah sharing with us techniques, which are really important, as well as being asked the question by Stephanie, what would you say to anybody if you were to be able to sit a man down for 5 minutes? What would you say to them? So that's just two of the things that will be coming up in this episode. Hope you enjoy, and again, the message is please subscribe to our channel and share the links so that way we can get the word out further. Thank you.
I say that all the time in my job. I wish I could do. I wish I could do more.
But I'm only but we're only humans ourselves. I have a family, a kid, house to sort out. I've got my own mental health to look after, and so there isn't enough time in the day to do.
And when I often have to have those conversations with parents who want to access support for the children, I'm like, it won't meet. I find it really hard to say, but it won't
meet what you need.
Threshold. And that's absolutely devastating to that family because it doesn't. Because the threshold is so.
Yeah. Talking of which, I actually, and this is fitting for what we're talking about. I actually attended last year a tribunal for a male who'd taken his own life. It was the most horrendous thing I think I've ever done, and sadly. The conversation was going down the route of how could we have prevented this, which is obviously a great question. And the parents were, he was a young male in his late 30s, 2 young kids. They were saying why to the GPs that were there also at the tribunal, why didn't this happen? Why didn't that happen? And when I took the stand, I said, sadly, he wouldn't have met, because he was being a male, bottling it all up, not letting people really know how he felt, he wouldn't have met criteria for community mental health teams. They wouldn't have paid any attention to him, and that is tragic.
And it's heartbreaking for the family to hear that, isn't it?
Yeah, but like you say, the services don't get in. They're too stretched to get in there quick enough, and it is heartbreaking that so many people lose their lives. Like you said in your the blurb for this, suicide is preventable 100%. Like, but when you're depressed, your mind tells you, this is part of the depression, your mind tells you that you're worthless, that no one loves you, that and that's you're not thinking straight. Again, devastatingly, I was with someone recently, who attended a funeral for someone who'd taken their own life, and the room was packed, and we were like, this is so tragic. Oh, I'm giving myself goosebumps. It's like so tragic to think that people with depression don't realise how loved they are until they're not here anymore, and then they can't see it anyway. And so I spend a lot of time with people writing that, literally, when you're depressed, have someone say to you, you are worthy, you are loved, you are cared for. And I write on a piece of paper, stick it on a wall where you can see it, because depression will tell you that you're none of those things, but you need to see it literally every day. And this is, I'm getting when someone's really depressed, they do need constant reassurance. So, and I know that's really hard for loved ones depression will tell you that you're not loved. So if someone's saying to you, do you love me? Just, it's okay to, please don't, I know it's hard when that's constant, but depression needs to hear, the person needs to hear that, because the depression voice is so powerful that they genuinely do not believe that they are those things. So write up on a piece of paper, and and stick it.
I'm a big believer in positive. I literally dish out positive affirmations at school to all the children, and I often I do get them to repeat it back. So you are, I am. And it's funny because I was in the card shop a couple of weeks ago, And I was working with a child a few years ago who had low self-esteem, low confidence, and I used to get her to, she felt ugly. And I saw her in the card shop, and she shouted to me across the card shop, "Mrs. Rigby, I'm beautiful."
Oh, yay! That's
And
amazing.
I just thought, it made me feel really emotional,
Yeah.
because I just thought, oh gosh, she's
Yeah.
still telling herself
Yeah.
that, and absolutely she is beautiful, you know.
And
So it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Those words can have such a big impact on us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
On the positive affirmations.
You are amazing.
Well, I had to smile when that was mentioned, because this is what Stephanie does all the time. Not always to me, but she does it well.
Do it to you.
Yeah, I know you do it. Okay. But what I found is a big struggle, probably because things came back for me recently that I wrote about on Totally Local, about a moment that came to me that made me understand why all these years, and still now, even though I've had that light bulb moment, that I can't take compliments, I can't take positivity. And I do think there is a great deal of I have a great concern that a lot of people, especially of a certain age, younger, that can't verbalise. I had it myself, where people would come to us, they were in crisis, but they didn't know how to verbalise
Yep.
what they were feeling, what they were thinking.
Yep. Nope.
So, you know, early intervention in schools, you know, would you say there's a lot that schools could do
Yep.
in recognising it? People like Stephanie, I think there should be
Oh, there should be
a
pastoral-
Stephanie in
yeah,
every
absolutely.
school, because
Again,
she's so perceptive,
Yeah.
and not just over my feelings, you know.
Yeah. We do need more of early intervention stuff.
And it's funny you should say that, because not every school has
they
pastoral
don't.
support.
It's-
Either it's budget
Yeah.
or it's just, you know, but
Yeah.
and it's such a shame, because
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in the work that I do, and I know when I first started doing this work, to try and actually get the child out of the classroom was really, really difficult. I'm talking a long time ago now. And I had to justify
Yeah.
that actually the importance of
Yeah.
the work that I was doing,
Yeah.
because it was so curriculum focused. I mean,
Yeah.
we've shifted now, and I'm a big believer in it depends on the head teacher as
Yeah.
well. And
Yeah.
I'm very valued in the school I work at, but it's so important,
Yeah.
and yet I still believe we're still not doing as much as we could, really.
No, but yeah, absolutely. Our school has just sadly lost an amazing pastoral
Yeah, I
person.
know.
And
She was amazing.
I've used her.
Yeah.
But she's not been replaced, and it's tragic. And like you say, this focus on academia, kids like with work, we can't function to our best potential if we're struggling with stuff that's going on inside of us. So the priorities need to shift the other way, both like within the hospitals, within schools, within society. Like, focus on our mental health first, then the other stuff will come later.
It's really frustrating for me, and I'm going to go out on a limb, it'd probably be an unpopular comment, but when people are looking at the social media and deciding how life should be as perceived by influencers and stuff, they will go out and they'll spend an immense amount of money with it, we'll say enhancements, right? Instead of potentially, and maybe they don't recognise that that money would actually be better spent
In therapy.
seeing somebody like yourself.
Yeah.
And long term, because I know that what you will offer is a toolkit.
Yeah,
I
that
used to call
lasts
it a
you
toolkit
the rest of
that
your
you
life.
can take, that when you have times that are difficult, that you can actually go, I remember this through, you know, okay, sometimes you might have to dip back into therapy, but there's nothing wrong with that. You can have a course of therapy and then go back maybe once a month or
Top-ups.
once every couple of months.
Yep, I do.
And
We do that.
I think people, as well as the authorities, as well as government, I mean, government are great, aren't they? When somebody famous, Robin Williams or whoever, commits suicide, it's all over the media. But then the next day, they've moved on.
Can I be really picky?
Go on.
We've changed that. I know this is a bit being a bit PC, but we've changed the phrase. We try and encourage people not to say committed suicide anymore.
Okay.
Can you imagine why that might be? Testing you.
No.
Because committed makes it sound like you've done something wrong.
Yeah.
Like you've
okay.
committed a crime. You've committed a crime. That's how it would usually be phrased, is it? So yeah. So just a little pointer.
And that's great. But then it
Because
goes.
language is so important. Sorry.
It absolutely is, and
You tell him.
yeah, because Stephanie tells me all the time. But
it's to let people. It's not. Yeah. It's and I know and I get that we get a bit frustrating with PC, but the power of language is huge.
Yeah.
We do need to at times be careful as to, and this isn't, but yeah, just to be aware
no,
of.
and that's fine. Yeah, because I'm
aware
happy
of-
learning.
Yeah.
Because as you alluded to earlier, as we grow, as we learn, as we develop, we are constantly learning.
Yeah.
Every interaction we have with people is about learning, and you showing me that. No, I'm really happy for that, Sarah, Dr. Sarah. just to differentiate your.
No, I know that title only gets used in special circumstances when I need.
Have you got a plaque on your desk? Because my son is not doctor in therapy, is in another field, but he got his doctorate, and one of my other sons has got him a plaque on it as a joke to put on his, because Curtis is not one who will actually want to flash the title about, and that's what I feel of you. You're very easy to get on with, not like the old fashioned when I was younger, the idea of a psychologist or any kind of professional of that.
Yeah,
So,
don't get me wrong. I do use it. It does come in handy when you need medical, like when you need certain people to do something. With mental health wise, and yeah, it's again, society. What are we like? What is that? The power imbalances that we have. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna. What symptoms would you say that are what people tend to normalise? If we're like talking to people that are listening to this now.
What kind of symptoms might be worth looking out for?
Yeah, and what do people kind of not say is normal, and what do people how do people? Some people will normalise the symptoms, won't they, rather than actually realising that.
Yeah, that it's part of the bigger picture.
Yeah. So what do we normalise when we shouldn't? Really?
Okay, so some of the first off, we need to be aware of like you said earlier, the whole person. So it might not be that they're crying. It might not be that they're being really negative, because actually, again, because of what depression tells us, people often put a brave face on it. So it's looking out for things like sleep. Is someone's sleep deteriorated, or are they sleeping more than usual? Again, everyone's different, so you have to like what's the norm for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it can work either way. Depression can make us sleep more, but it can also, if you've got lots of racing thoughts, you can develop insomnia. Food, if people are again eating more than they would normally, because people might comfort eat. Again, can I just say that's normal? Everyone comfort eats, even people who are like, so we're biologically, sorry, going off on a tangent.
No.
I get like, oh God, I wish everyone knew
I love
this.
it. It's
I'm like, I want people to know this stuff.
It's good.
So we're biologically tuned in to sweet food, because when we were hunter-gatherers, sweet food was safe. Berries, yeah?
Yeah.
So when we eat something sweet, we get a chemical released in our body. Don't ask me what it is. That tells us this is good. So we get endorphins off. So we all comfort eat.
So when I'm eating cake later, I'm going to feel so much better now. Thanks.
Yeah. But actually, in all seriousness, the people who see me will laugh, because I'm forever saying this. Be kind to yourself. Like, it's one of the most powerful things to be able to do. Just go. Doesn't mean keep doing it. But if you're having a slip up, or you're having a bad day or whatever, and you fancy a tub of ice cream, it's okay. Okay, not every day, but yeah, beating yourself up, that just then fuels the cycle of doing it again. Actually, sorry, back on track. So food, yeah. Is someone comfort eating, or are they like eating less? Because often when people are depressed, you lose appetite. So people like losing a lot of weight. You can often tell someone who's who are going through stressful life events. So I've sadly known a lot of men and women, but men who have gone through relationship breakups, or like losing their family, and if they're if they're dead thin, that's not a helpful phrase, but if they're really thin, then it's a stress response. You're not as hungry as you usually are. So sleep, food, being particularly like self-critical. If again, people, sometimes it can be really subtle, but like berating themselves all the time. That sometimes people don't even realise they're doing it. So kind of watching out for that, like lots of negativity. The reassurance seeking, that can be something to look out for. Anger. Men are more likely to, because of testosterone, if they're bottling up, it's more likely to come out as anger.
Explode.
Yeah. So if you're noticing people are getting like more edgy in the car, that's a prime place where anger comes out. Because you've got frustrated that someone's cut you up or something. So if you're starting to notice your man in your life they're getting more agitated, or if they're becoming more anxious or withdrawn, so that's another thing. So if they've started withdrawing from the things that they usually like doing, so going to the gym, meeting friends, again, depression will tell us that we've got nothing to offer to other people and that no one wants to listen to us, we're a burden. So if people then start retreating, that's often a massive warning sign that they're not engaging in what they used to engage in. Those are the main ones. Or if they're doing unhelpful coping strategies, like drinking more, smoking more, taking drugs. Can I also say the sex word? If people's sex life drops, but also if it gets intense, people will try and find lots of different ways to avoid whatever's going on in their head. So or if they go to the gym too much, people start avoiding things that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
But libido, that massively drops when someone's depressed. So it's all these kind of, like I say, working out what's the norm for the person in your life.
Yeah, so looking at the routines.
Yeah.
What's their normal routine?
Yeah.
And behaviours, and then kind of seeing those changes.
Yeah. That's. I'm trying to think. This is one of the questions I was thinking. Please don't miss anything else. Because it's really important. Getting snappy. Yeah, parents getting snappy at kids.
Yeah,
if that's happening more often.
Yeah.
Again, when you're struggling with your mood, your threshold, what we call the window of tolerance. So that stress bucket, you're more likely to get triggered by like everyday stuff, like like someone cutting you up in the car, or the child being a pain in the ass.
When does having a difficult time become much more serious? Is it when you're not talking, when you're not when accepting you need that support and help? And
it becomes serious when functioning. Work. If people are struggling with work, don't get me wrong, obviously work can be one of the problems, but if someone's starting to really struggle more so with work, then that can be a warning sign. When it becomes serious is when people's functioning starts dropping off completely. So they're not engaging in social life, they're not engaging with work, they're not really engaging in their relationship, hobbies, all that kind of stuff. Just a plug again to 22 Kids and Counting. That's what happened with Josh, and that's why we wanted to film him, because he's so used to being filmed. It wasn't an issue. The cameras are there like 3 days a week, every week. He's grown up with cameras, so to him he wasn't bothered at all. But he'd got to a point where he'd retreated into, he'd become agoraphobic, and his dad and Noel is amazing at being honest with this in the episode. He thought he was just being a grumpy teenager, and that's again why I never see ever 18, like the ages between like 16, maybe 17 and 22. Never see that age range guys, young men in my why? I think because sadly they're trying to be men. They're trying. It's that perception of not wanting to admit that you're struggling.
And their nearest and dearest, i.e. parents or caregivers, they think it's them just going through a phase. Being
hormone. And don't get me wrong, some of it will be hormones. But as with Josh, he didn't want to partake in his 18th birthday party. He didn't want to see friends. And yes, boys are more likely to then be on their computer games a lot. Again, so that's another warning sign. If that's the only thing that they will engage in, I mean, let's not get started on the use of, but that's another warning sign, because they're retreating away from everything. But yeah, so Josh got to a point where he couldn't leave the house. Like he literally was housebound, and sadly, I see that all the time. And yeah, so men, I'm thinking sadly of the man that I know, or the man that I worked with who did take his own life. I think men actually aren't always obvious, so that's why it's that subtle stuff that you have to look out for. Because he was still able to work, he was still engaging with life. So it is, that's where it is tricky.
But before I go on to my next question, if I may,
I can't even remember what the last one was and whether I answered.
You're doing far better than I would have done, because I go all around the houses, as Stephanie will confirm.
Like I'm doing it.
But earlier, you mentioned one of the triggers for men can be relationship breakdown.
Yes.
And the shocking statistic that 7 out of 8 suicides are men because of relationship breakdown.
Yep.
And that just follows through with everything we've been saying, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Men have no outlet. Men do not talk. Men are not allowed in. Maybe not as I was actually growing up myself, but I was always encouraged by my dad to talk. But I think for most of my age and older, you don't talk about feelings, and you have no outlets.
Yeah, and the fear of being like mocked, particularly as teenagers, being mocked for that, or not understood, or people just think you're whining, or I don't know,
being soft.
Being soft. Yeah, that word is still used.
And sensitive.
Yeah,
I mean, I actually think if you are sensitive, that's a positive thing.
Hugely.
Right? But it's not seen that way, is it?
No, it's called emotional intelligence.
Yes.
Yeah. Being sensitive.
I didn't want to be clever, not in front of you. But,
no, hugely.
So what are the main barriers that men have to break down?
Talking. Yeah.
And how would you...
To each other.
Okay, so say it's a man and woman relationship.
Yep.
Just to give an example, if the lady thinks he's struggling, is there any simple pointers you could give us to how she could broach it in a way that might? I know it's a lot more complex, but
yeah. Well, actually, I think people make it more complicated than it needs to be. Sometimes it's just literally a case of asking and not like going around the houses. There's a perception, a misconception that if you ask, or a fear of people, that if you ask if someone's got thoughts about suicide, that you're more likely to that you're almost encouraging them, or but it's the complete opposite. So ask people, and don't get me wrong, I think in general it's better to ask open questions. So how are you feeling today? But actually sometimes men are more likely, because that feels too big of a question, so I'm actually going to completely contradict myself, is to say, are you feeling sad? And giving a yes/no answer, because someone might be more likely, but not saying, are you okay? Because they're more likely to say yeah. But yes, ask specifically, you look like you're feeling sad today. Like, is that right? They're more likely to say yes. Or like, I'm noticing, I sound like I'm being a therapist. This is, but,
go for it.
But yeah, I'm noticing that you're spending more time in the shed. That's really stereotypical, isn't it? Yeah. I'm noticing you're spending more time like at the gym. Why? Is there a problem? Yeah, is there a problem? Yeah, So, and I think same with friends, men need to get better at having these conversations among themselves. So yeah, when you're at the gym, or when you're playing golf, or when you're doing whatever, going for a pint, like like,
what if they think they don't need help? Is it just about making sure that you still ask those questions?
Yeah.
And just being there for when they're ready to talk?
Absolutely. So unfortunately, therapy does only really work, or getting help only does really work when someone's like ready, wanting it. So no one can be forced into getting help. But yeah, it's that sowing that seed of saying I'm here for you if you need to talk, because again, depression tells us, like we said earlier, that people are a burden, or that no one wants to hear this. Everyone's got their own problems. I don't want to. But saying no, it's okay. Like, it's okay. I think we often take too much responsibility for other people's feelings. Does that make sense? So like, I might predict that you can't cope with this today, so I'm not going to tell you. So we're like completely trying to mind read again. We need to take ownership of that, or to know that if someone is struggling themselves that day, that this is where we need to get just generally better at this, that they will tell you. So for instance, my friends know that if I'm really struggling and they're struggling too, and they come to me, I will say, like, I'm really sorry, I can't help you today because I'm not in a good place myself. And I think we just need to get better at those kind of conversations as well.
Be more open.
But yeah, being more open, absolutely. And so it's okay to say, I can't do this today, but 9 times out of 10, someone will be able to help you on that day. And in terms of therapy and getting help for kind of depression or anything, it's that sowing that seed, and then the seed will grow. And so it's okay if that takes a while, but knowing that the help is out there. And I know it's cliche, or it's a bit corny, but my slogan is making change possible, because I think when we're struggling with our mental health, again, it can be so powerful. It can make you think, you can think that you'll always be like this. You don't have to. Everything to do with anything to do with mental health can be. Don't get me wrong, not all of it can be treated. Some of it is about learning to live with it, but none of it has to control you. Oh, I'm getting really...
And none of it has to result in
the
suicide. Loss of a life.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
On the flip side of that, how can you support somebody who has talked to you, who is talking to you, and wants that support without pushing them away? So, if a family member or a friend is too much, like they're desperate to help, they want to fix, but how can they do that without being too... That person's ready to share and talk. Yeah. How can they do that without pushing them to well away?
Okay, so I think you need to be led by the person.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is about kind of just checking in every so often and say,
we had too much.
Yeah, without being, yeah. And catching people at the right time as well, but that's often tricky. So sometimes it's doing it when you're in a more relaxed situation, like when you're in the car. Parents will know this.
Yeah.
Having tricky conversations, not like this.
No, it's great.
It's when you're in the car, when you're walking, when you're doing something else. That's when to have those, not to sit down and have those conversations at a dinner table. Oh, I'm just thinking about my own parents. That's when our tricky conversations used to happen, and it used to become a bit scary.
Yeah.
But when you're doing something lighthearted, it's then to kind of have those conversations.
Yeah.
But don't go, like you say, don't go OTT with it, because people will then more likely to just clam up. So there is a balance to be found, and again, that will be different for each person.
And I'm just putting out there to people that are listening as well, because would you advise them about how they attach their emotions to it as well? Because I've heard people who have shared stuff with their friends or family, so we'll say family more so, and then that family member's got upset and, it's my fault, and now I feel so bad that you're going through this. Yeah. And that can make them feel even worse, can't it? Because they think, my gosh, I've shared this and I've made you feel bad. Yeah. Now you're feeling it's your fault.
Yeah.
And
so that's what I was just meaning earlier about, that we take too much responsibility for other people's feelings. Yeah. That's okay if someone's upset that you've told them how much you're struggling. That shows you how much they care and love you. Yeah. That's not something to feel guilty about. That's their responsibility to do something with that.
And not make it about you. I'm thinking like how a parent might respond, or...
Yeah, and it's okay. Again, it's okay for parents to struggle.
Yeah.
And it's okay to share that sometimes with your children. To say, look, Daddy's having a tough day today, and I'm sorry that I've like got a bit snappy at you. But it's often the behaviour itself isn't actually often the problem. It's what we do with it afterwards. So you can always repair. You can always. Sorry, we're going down another tangent. But being able to just. Yeah, say I'm sorry, or I didn't mean to do that, and I'm struggling. It's okay to tell. In fact, I really encourage people to say to their kids when you're having a tough day. Again, it just normalises it, that it's okay not to be. Okay, so there's another book in our world that's a bit of a Bible called The Happiness Trap, and the reason it's called The Happiness Trap is because everyone always says, I want to be happy. It's a fallacy. It's complete. Is that the right word? Yeah, it's complete bullshit. You can't be happy all the time.
No.
Contentment is what we need to aim for in life. Contentment, not happiness. Happiness is a fleeting feeling. Again, okay, so that's great for that. Thinking of people who are struggling with their mental health, is to remind them that you're gonna have tough days. Everyone has tough days.
Yeah.
Everyone feels sad sometimes. Everyone feels anxious sometimes. You can't be aiming for happiness. It's not fully. I always get people in my therapy room to rate how they're feeling out of 10. Well, that's a bit of a cliche, but so 10 being the happiest, the best your mood could be, and 0 being, and I probably shouldn't say this because now people are gonna but it's a bit of a trick question, because if someone told me they were 10 out of 10, I'd be just as worried as if someone was 0 out of 10, like all the time. Like, where's your average? I don't want it. We can't be 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Well, this is the need for people to be honest.
Yeah.
And open.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you could sit every man down for 5 minutes, what would you say to them? What advice would you give them?
It's okay. Yeah. That's one of my favourite, people who come to see me in therapy know the 2 things that I say there's a few. One is be kind to yourself. My other favourite phrase is it's okay. And this is another thing I'd say to people if I had 5 minutes, is there's no shoulds. In terms of thoughts and feelings, there are no shoulds or shouldn'ts. So if people laugh who see me, I ban that word is not allowed in my clinic room, because people always say, well, I shouldn't be feeling like this, or I shouldn't have had that thought, or I should have enjoyed my holiday, or I should have enjoyed Christmas. But rubbish. There's no... how you feel and how you think is how you feel and think. There's no wrong or right about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But that's societal expectation, isn't it?
Yeah.
It should be this, so people take it on board that they should have.
Yeah, and then then you feel guilty and you internalise it and go, okay, well, I must be a bad person, or I must have, it must be my fault that I'm having, because everybody else is having a great holiday or a great day or whatever. Nobody else is struggling. So it's okay that, like I said, that would be another thing that I'd be saying to people. It's okay that you feel like this. There's nothing wrong with it per se. It's it's the control that it's having over you that's the problem. So yeah, those are.
So Sarah.
Yes, Paul.
See how friendly this whole relaxed atmosphere is here. So, if there's one key message, given what we've talked about, that you would want people listening to take away from this podcast, what would it be?
Oh, that's challenging. There's a lot, isn't there?
There's too much, isn't it?
There is too much.
One key.
I don't think
One key.
that it's okay, and it's okay to get help. Yeah, and it's okay to feel the way you do, but it doesn't have to stay like that, and it can change.
Nothing's insurmountable.
No. Yeah, I can keep talking. But you just wanted one thing.
One thing, okay, yeah.
And to anyone listening, where can people go for help, support?
So there's obviously there is actually a fair amount. It's just whether people feel able to reach out to it. So the obvious one is your GP, and you can, I think in some places, people have to check with their local, but you can self-refer to places like Minds Matter, which is Minds Matter is our local IAP service, which stands for Increasing Access to Psychological Therapy. Again, unfortunately, there's probably a waiting list for those services at the moment.
And it is out there for like a short period.
Yeah, sadly. But yes, GP. If people are really concerned about being able to keep themselves safe, or they're concerned about somebody else being able to keep themselves safe, there is a crisis number, which we can add, because I don't know off the top of my head. But yeah, there's a crisis number. You can also ask the police to do welfare checks, or you can take people to A&E. So those are the for if you're really struggling. There is the obvious one of Samaritans, but there are lots of other helplines. Including and I think people are, when they're struggling, picking up the phone and asking for help is really hard. So there is a service called Shout, where you text Shout to a short number, which again we can add, and you get a text response. And I think once that conversation has started happening by text, the practitioners will then call you if that feels appropriate and if that's something that you wanted. So I think that's easier to access than picking up the phone. That can be quite tricky. There's also the Mind website, and a lot of websites have chat services that again can be easier than picking up a phone, or there is often helplines. So yeah, there are a lot online to look for, and obviously there are lots of private therapists if you don't feel able, and it's not just like I say, we know there are a lot of counsellors in the area, and a lot of good ones that aren't as expensive, so those might be more accessible for people. So private therapy as well. I think those are the main ones.
I want to thank you, because you have given us an awful lot of not only insight but leads, and I think the greatest thing for me of all of this is how we need to normalise speaking, being open, helping people who maybe can't do it for themselves. Get them over the line to make the contact with professionals like yourself or the NHS service. And I think what you've offered today is invaluable, and I really want to thank you.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure, and I think we need to be doing more of this, because there is the more we're talking, then it's can only make things better.
Yeah, and I just want to say that I've absolutely loved chatting to you. I could stay here all day.
We can keep going.
I know, I could stay here all day.
We can talk about other things.
I know, it's been brilliant. I've loved it. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, but maybe
carry on.
there are loads of things that we can talk about. So I've specialised in before. I used to work in a weight clinic, so people who struggle with their weight.
Yeah, I'd love to do another podcast with you.
There's yes.
Me too.
Yeah, but that's.
Do you want to join us? We'll think about it.
Because what we were saying earlier about how much mental health applies to everything.
Yeah.
There's so much that people can learn, just basic stuff that can be life changing.
Yeah.
Just about the way, like we said earlier, about the way you think about food, like comfort eating, and the way we talk about and the way we think about certain things. There's so much that I think people can be aware of. Actually, what we haven't done. Sorry to.
No, go on.
We haven't talked about some strategies.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
To be able to, because there are some relatively simple things that people can do to manage their own their thoughts and feelings. Is that okay?
No,
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Again, these are things that I wish everyone knew about. So people, there's a bit of a buzzword of mindfulness. People poo-poo it all the time. So I always give a spiel about why being mindful, not mindfulness so much, but being mindful is important. And this is something that we can all get better at doing. So we spend, and a lot of mental health stems from doing too much thinking of either the past or the future. Yeah, so we're either worrying about stuff that's happened or we're worrying about what something might happen. So we're not living in the here and now very often. And that's what ultimately being mindful is about living in the here and now.
In the present.
Being present, yes.
Yeah.
So it's much easier said than done, I get it. And this is where when people poo-poo it and they say, I can't do that, I call them out on, yes, you can, because... Here's another little nugget. We are all born mindful, right? Our kids, this is why kids are so frustrating, because they are living in the moment, in the present. When you're taking them to school, they are not giving a shit about what time it is, about what's happening when they get to school. Don't get me wrong, some will obviously be if they've got worries, but especially like little ones, like 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, that's why they're like picking up sticks and bashing them around. They do not have a concept of the future. So we are all born living in the here and now. Sadly, by the time we've got to about 7, 8, we've started knocking it out of our kids because we're like, no, we've got to be here now. This is happening. So when people say they can't be mindful, I say, yes, you can, you just need to practice. And it is about rewiring your brain. So when you're struggling with your mental health, something to start getting used to trying to do is being aware of your thoughts and feelings. So I always say notice them. So notice what's going on in your head and your body. Then naming it. So saying, I am feeling anxious. So another little tip, you're not anxious, you're feeling anxious. Yeah. So again, power of language. Mm-hmm. You're not a bad person. You're having the thought that you're a bad person.
Or your behaviour is bad, not you, the person.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, same with when someone has autism. They're not autistic. They have autism, because there are so many different parts of us, not just... and feelings are... I know they're really powerful, but they're just feelings. They come, they go. Thoughts are not fact, they're thoughts. So by naming it, I'm having the thought that, or I'm feeling anxious. And then, like I say, grounding, being mindful. So what we call grounding yourself. So grounding is a way of saying, like, anchoring yourself in the here and now. So lots of people might have heard of this, but it's called the 5-4-3. I don't know if I go too
yeah, I love it. Yeah.
But again, people always go, I can't do that. Yeah. But actually just doing it for a brief moment. So saying 5 things that you can see, 4 things you can feel. Yeah. And when I say feel, it's like, can you feel your bum on the seat? Can you feel your feet on the floor? And 3 things you can hear. I don't generally go because people, but things you can hear, again, things
that really gets you thinking. Yeah. Because actually, when you start to do that one, you think, actually, I can hear like the birds tweeting, or actually from this seat, the traffic moving. Or
and these are things that are happening, like your feet in your shoes or whatever. These are things that are happening all the time, but you're not tuned into them because we've got so much whizzing. So it's one way, a really like important way, and simple but tricky, because your mind will drift you off. It's about bringing it back and going, because these stuff is happening all the time. So there's so much evidence to show that how much impact that has on cortisol levels and adrenaline levels, is that you can just quieten down your mind, and then you can notice stuff that you didn't know, that you like the colours of the tree, like the trees, or so I often say, like, anchoring yourself. If you're someone who wears, like, I've always got this necklace on, if you're someone who has got something all the time, look at it as if you've never seen it before. Like, really look at it, like all the little details, how it feels, like how it sounds or something, just as if you're an alien and you've come onto this planet and you don't know what the hell a shoe is or whatever. And that just, it helps quieten. Don't get me wrong, when you're feeling really anxious or really low, that can be really tricky. But even just, so pepper it into your day, doing it when you're doing something else where you can't really be doing anything else. So like having a shower or eating. Oh, we are so bad at not being in the here and now. So when you're eating, people are often on their phones, watching telly, having a conversation, and not paying attention at all to what they're eating. So when you're eating, when you're cooking, when you're walking, when you're going from A to B, again, people often get their phones out, put it away. And don't get me wrong, I have to tell myself, I have to get myself to stop doing this. But yeah, just use those moments to notice what you can see, feel and hear. And yeah, when you're cooking, really think about
what you can taste.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We need to slow our heads down. So that's one key thing that I would. Other things. Am I okay? Just keep talking.
Yeah, keep talking.
Other things. So that strategy might be really hard if you're like 8 upwards of anxiety or low mood, because we say that your prefrontal cortex has gone offline. So this is a great one for kids as well. So imagine this is your brain, this is your prefrontal cortex, this is your amygdala.
I've done this with you.
Yeah. A child.
No, it's great for. I do this with adults all the time. It's a really simple, easy.
We did a flipping the lid.
Do you? Yeah, flipping your lid. So when you're feeling really anxious or really low or really angry or whatever, your prefrontal cortex has gone offline. It's flipped, like you say, it's flipped, and what's firing you is your amygdala. So doing the thinking strategies is really tricky at that point because you're offline. So we then need strategies that are going to help kind of calm your central nervous system down. So squidging a thing, as I've been doing the whole time I've been saying. Something to bring to calm you and to give your brain a shock. So this is where we often talk about cold. So this is one that the crisis service use a lot as a recommendation, and people don't. What frustrates me is that people aren't told the science behind why it works, and so they go, oh, what the hell, why would I do that? But like putting your wrists under cold water, getting an ice cube. These days as well, it's great. You from shops, you can buy ice packs that are not icy, but you keep them in your bag, and as soon if you're starting to feel anxious or really distressed, crack them, because your brain then it gives your brain a shock to think, well, you're not in a life or death situation because you've suddenly changed something. Chewing gum is a great easy strategy when you're particularly if you're feeling really anxious, because your brain doesn't know the difference between chewing gum or eating. You produce the same. If you're eating, you are not in a life or death situation. So you straight away are telling your brain it's okay you can calm down, whether from whatever. So with anger as well. So those are chewing gum, something sour. So sour sweets again can give your brain a bit of a shock. This is why going for a walk, again, because that can be helpful with a change of temperature, as well as there's lots of reasons why going for a walk it helps you process things. That's a whole other story. But yeah, walking really helpful. What other things? Having a hug.
Yeah.
I bet you, at school, or weighted blankets, or giving. Do you know what? Even giving yourself a squeeze, that can be really powerful. Pushing your hat again, do you do this with kids? Yeah. Like pushing your hands
against the wall.
Yeah, pushing your hat. Yeah. It's giving your central nervous system to it's okay. It's okay.
Can I just say, you've mentioned central nervous system because I've been reading of late, not in depth, but how from when we're born, what the central nervous system picks up and carries with you all your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's key.
Yeah, and it can really easily our brain, then when it links into misinterpret what's safe and what's not safe. Again, we could do a whole topic on anxiety.
Yeah, I definitely think we need to do more. Do a whole series.
We could. Then no one will need to come and see me, though.
Oh, no.
No, there's a very big difference, though, isn't it?
I'm
hearing it and
doing it
through the process.
I think hearing it kickstarts, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And but the importance of actually sitting down and having that therapy is crucial, isn't it?
But there is loads of I'm thinking for men and women who are struggling with their mental health, there are those hopefully there's those little nuggets there of things that people can start to do to help manage their. And there's also again breathing techniques. Quick again, little nugget is not actually what you're doing with the breathing technique isn't it. The way you're breathing isn't actually too important. It's the pause between the in breath and the out breath that's important. Because again, if you're in a life or death situation, you wouldn't be able to pause your breathing. So one that I often do with people is 2 short breaths in for your nose, pause, and a long breath out for your mouth. Again, it just tells your brain that it's okay. You can calm. You're safe. I think that hopefully gives people
it's brilliant. It's great, and they work, don't they?
They do. They might not work all the time, and they might not always. It's like medication. It's trial and error a bit. You have to find what works for you. Yeah. But they do work.
But it's giving a variety of techniques and strategies, so you can find what works for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it helps when everyone's working together. When you're ready, like you say, you've got to be ready, haven't you, for that help and support, and to take on board those strategies. And
sometimes you might need someone. So I do a lot of work with encouraging people to share those strategies with other people, because going back to this analogy, if you're really struggling and your lid goes, it's hard to think of those strategies. So if you've got a loved one or whoever, for them to be able to say, remember those. And if you don't have someone around you all the time, write them up and literally stick them on the wall, because again, that's enough to tell your brain, to remind your brain to do that when you're really distressed. So it's okay you might feel a bit worried, like feeling a bit daft, but stick big posters up everywhere.
But to get you into the habit of doing that, could it be something that you do as part of a routine?
Oh, absolutely.
Whether you've got, whether you feel you've got mental health, because this mindfulness approach. I never, after you said that, I didn't know whether to stick a ness on or not. But I think it's healthy, because what you've said about in the moment, that most of us, I know, thinking about it, listening to you, I don't do that.
No.
I'm thinking about things as a man. I think about, and I did make, but we're past the point of actually mentioning this. But I think of if I know somebody's struggling, I flick into a fix.
Oh, that's.
I have, and this is like this is not me being. It's not
Sexist.
a dig.
This is
not a dig
Yeah.
at you, but I've said for years, haven't I, that that's what you do.
Fix.
You want to, like, customers that come in and you want to help, don't you? You want to fix.
Yeah.
And I've said to you not so long ago, you can't fix. And it's funny because when you're talking about being present, wasn't so long ago, you were messaging me about the podcast, and I then, because I didn't want to be rude, I then said, I'm going for a dog walk now. I won't have my phone on me, so I like to be present when I'm going for a dog. Yeah. And he was a bit like, he saw it as a negative, but it was me just letting him know that actually, if I don't respond to you,
that's why.
This is the reason why. Yeah. And you were a bit taken back by that, really, weren't you?
Yeah, because you are very good at boundaries.
Yeah.
I am shocking at boundaries.
Boundaries are good.
And I tend to my own boundaries, but also I'm not very good at managing other people's wants, desires, pulls. I tend to jump in sympathetic as opposed to empathic.
Okay.
If they're the correct terms.
Yep. So just talking about something there you raised about fixing, when we were talking earlier about what can we do for other people, and there is always a pull to want to fix, and it's okay if you can't always fix, and it's okay if you don't have a solution. Some people just need to know that you can listen. All you have to do is listen, and sometimes you don't need to say a thing, and that's great for kids. Like when you're around kids, sometimes you don't need to have the answers, and that's okay. You can just listen.
But it's owning it though, isn't it? It's owning I don't have.
Yeah.
Because if you're somebody who cares about somebody, you want to help them.
Yeah. And actually, but as you'll maybe have had this conversation, sometimes it can be for the other person, it can feel quite dismissing, and invalidating if the other person is just keep offering kind of solutions. Sometimes they don't want that. They just want to be heard and listened to.
And I don't think you necessarily need to say, I can't fix this, or I think you just don't say anything. You just listen, don't you? Because that ultimately can have
be really powerful. Yeah.
I don't say.
I
don't say anything because that's an admission. I can't fix it.
You just say then. Well, you could say I can't fix it, but you don't need to say that.
Okay.
You don't need to say anything, do you?
Right.
You just like talking. That's why it's called Let's Talk.
Let's talk. And I came up with that. But am I right in believing, or I might not be, that actually the fixer is a role that men have inherently more than women?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, I think that is. But again, I think we're not taught these skills as children, and certainly as boys, that it's okay to just listen to each other. If someone's struggling at school or whatever, I don't think we're taught those skills or the power of those tools.
Or struggling in the podcast. Yeah, it's all right for me to struggle in the podcast.
I definitely think you're right. We are a generation. We weren't taught these skills and techniques, and I know I went into the job that I do because of what I experienced, and I knew what I wanted to do when I was at primary school. But if I'd have had these, if I'd have had someone at my school that was pastoral or been taught strategies and techniques, you realise, don't you, what a difference it would have made.
Yeah.
So thanks for those tips.
No,
it's great.
So maybe we could finish by thanking you, because I think I certainly will be walking away with an awful lot from you, even though I thought I had a reasonable insight to your professional world, and I hope that those watching actually have an awful lot to gain from it. And the microphone's being twiddled away from me, so another cue for me to shut up, because I'm trying to fix the end here.
Well, Paul said that I was going to love meeting you. I've absolutely loved it. I hope we can do another podcast.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you for giving me a space, a platform to share some of this stuff. It's been awesome.
Certainly from my perspective, and I think from ours and Isam's, because Isam was blown away with you, tongue twister, when he met you. And if we can do more together, I would absolutely love that opportunity, and be grateful for it.
Absolutely.
And I hope we can get these messages out